Adam Dobres. Hello. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for doing this. A few questions.
Okay.
First one is, how old were you when you first started playing music?
I first started playing music. Okay. That's an interesting question because it depends on it, like professionally or just when I first showed interest.
Yeah, well, you can pick your answer.
Yeah, I was surrounded by a lot of music with my aunt who played clarinet with the Winnipeg Symphony, and I remember she was always around practicing, and I had this little piano I would kind of plunk away on when I was maybe like 10 years old.
Okay.
But 12 years old is when I first got my guitar from my dad. He worked at a thrift store.
Aww.
And he brought one back for me, and I thought, that's cool. And
yeah.
I don't think I realized how much I loved it until when I look back. I'm like, okay, I must have really knew that there was something special going on there, and I joined a guitar class at school, and my teacher was actually an amazing guitar player, Fraser Curley. So I used to stay after class and ask him questions all the time, and he had time for me, which was amazing when he's marking all his reports, and he was really inspiring. And then I just continued. So I would say 12 years old is when the spark hit.
Right.
The guitar spark. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So that was, like I said, about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
And we met shortly after that.
We did, and then because I got pulled into the fiddle orchestra with Dan Lapp through my friend Adrian Dolan.
Yep.
And then that was, I guess maybe I was around 12 or 13, and started playing some chords with that. That's when I met you and Adrian and all those guys.
Yeah.
And that's when my love of Celtic music came forward. So,
oh, okay, cool.
For sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Cool. And who has been your biggest musical influence?
That's a very good question.
Yeah.
I would say it's changed over the years.
Yeah.
Because when you're younger, I feel like when you're younger, you get inspired by sometimes the littlest thing,
Yeah,
I remember the music teacher at school came in with his electric guitar, and he played like Eddie Van Halen, and I thought, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I was like, I need to know that. That was like the biggest inspiration.
Yeah.
Then it moved on to when I started listening to Lenny Breau, a jazz guitar player, I'm just like, that is the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
And I have to learn it. And then that changed. I still think he's amazing, right?
Yeah,
but that changed. It changed over the years, and even I think Eric Clapton and all the standard guitar players.
Yeah.
Eric Clapton. Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page and Jimi Hendrix is a big one. All those kind of classic electric guitar players are big inspirations, and they still are, but it just evolved. Mm-hmm. And then I think seeing Mark Knopfler recently live was a huge inspiration because their band was just incredibly amazing, and it was
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I can't pinpoint it to one person.
Totally.
And all my friends, you are, and everyone I know is inspiring, and I feel like I've been inspired by so many people. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to choose a top one.
I know, exactly.
I don't know if I could.
Yeah. Who is your favorite guitar player?
Another hard Jeez. Favorite guitar player.
It's probably similar to the biggest inspiration thing too, right? It changes.
Yep.
I mean, for me, same.
When I got into jazz, Lenny Breau, he's a Canadian. Mm-hmm. He just played with so much feeling and so much love, and he was a very quiet, humble guy, and I was obsessed with him, and sometimes certain guitar players, when they play, you're like, you're coming from another world. And he was one of those guys, and I just loved it. And then for guitar players, of course, Jimi Hendrix, because those guys just went outside of the box, and they were just I felt like they were ripping through reality, ripping, through space and time or something like that. But and then I just love also like Steve Cooney, Irish guitar player. His playing is beautiful, and again, Mark Knopfler, just one of those guitar players that at his show he taught me a lot because I was watching it and I thought. He always wanting more. He'd play a little lick, and I'd be like, "Oh, play some more!" That felt so good. And he just wouldn't for the whole song. And I'm like, and then and the next song he plays just a little bit, but he didn't need to sit there and go crazy. He just played 3 notes, and that was it, and I was satisfied.
Yeah.
And I was taught me the less is more sort of thing with that for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely a key thing in music that a lot of people think just shredding constantly is, but it's actually space.
The space.
Is really important. Just as important.
Yeah, it is. It's just there's so much in that, and the more I practice with space, like the next time you play a note, it has that much more impact.
Yeah,
exactly.
Instead of totally.
But I do remember when I was first at the jazz jams at Herman's in Victoria, and I was young and shy, I'd get my chance to go and play, I'd be like, okay, I get one solo, and I just let it all out in one solo, and then you're like, there's nothing else to do. So,
totally.
Good,
yeah. Well, that's, just also growing up and as we learn over the years too, right?
There's so much.
Refine our playing and
it's true. It's a constant journey. It will never end.
I know. Totally.
And I feel like the funny thing is the more I just get into life, like having a baby, and just getting to life and doing life things and growing as a person, then your playing changes with you. And it's like it's not about I need to become a better musician. I was just like, I want to become a better person, and hopefully my music will change with that. That's sort of the goal.
And then just life experiences make you more aware of different things, more sensitive to different things, and more emotional, and
emotional. That's the big thing.
Through your music,
that's a big part. And like having like a birth of a new baby or the death of someone, a friend of yours or something. All those emotions really fuel the music.
Totally.
And then you play that music, and other people, it reminds them of the feelings that they maybe aren't looking at, or you know what I mean. Or like it just kind of helps them feel not alone.
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
The power of music.
I know.
It's like
totally.
It's pretty amazing. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Where has been the most interesting place you've traveled to with music?
Most interesting place I've traveled with music.
I know you've traveled far and wide.
Yes. I gotta think about this one for a second. Well, you know what it makes me think of is my first traveling experience. Because that was the most inspiring, is when I was just out of college and I hadn't traveled at all.
Yeah.
Not even to America, or I maybe gone to America, but not for music. And then that's when Oliver Swain, you know Oliver Swain? Yeah. Just kidding, you know Oliver Swain well. He had called, I know him a little bit, this was 2002, and he said the band was sort of finishing, Scrooge McDuck was finishing, and but they still wanted to continue with some gigs in Louisiana. So Ollie asked me, he said, do you want to come play guitar for 4 shows in Louisiana with it was Ruth Moody and Jeremy Penner?
Yeah.
And I was like,
heck yeah.
Okay, I'm not going back to my second year of college. So I decided to do that. And I was 19 or 20 at the time, I think. And so I went down and traveled down, and I think that was the most inspiring thing, because I'd never been somewhere where there was a completely different culture in music. And so the first thing we did is went to this little bar called the Whiskey River, and it was like we walked in there, I'm rubbing my eyes because we just drove the whole way, and then I see a Cajun band playing, two fiddles and a triangle and a washboard and a drummer, and everyone was two-step dancing, and they were all eating crawfish piled on a table, and I was like, and I looked outside and I see a swamp and cypress trees or whatever, and it all kind of made sense to me. I saw the music and the food and the dancing and the outdoors, and it all kind of was like a quilt, fabric, and I was like, oh, like it all makes sense. It's hard to explain. Something clicked just about music and food and culture and people in a place, and I think that was the biggest life-changing moment in a way.
Cool.
And then you notice that going to Scotland, you see the accent of the people, and you hear the music, and you see the food, and it's like you see the landscape, and it all kind of fits.
Totally, absolutely.
And I think that's why Canada's cool, because we're a melting pot of all these places. So it's like we get to kind of have all those inspirations melting into one.
Totally.
Kind of, if that makes sense.
And that comes across in our style of music.
It does.
Yeah.
I think when someone says Canadian music, I think maybe that's what...
Yeah. It's kind of everything, because everyone's here from everywhere,
If you hear one of your tunes you've written, I'm sure it just sounds like it's probably inspiration from all these places that you've been to. And
Totally. Yeah. That's actually, when I went to Ireland for the first time, I was like, oh my goodness. Yeah. That is exactly, this is Irish music.
Right.
Now I get it. Yeah. Like, totally makes sense.
I've been faking it this whole time.
The misty fields and the, the pubs and the, just the...
I had the same experience in Scotland, hearing Nuala Kennedy was her name. She was playing Irish flute, and I swear I could see the hills and the mist, and I was like, oh, okay, it's amazing how it works.
It all comes together. Totally.
And even like Mexico, going there and seeing the mariachi and seeing the bands, and all kind of in the flavors and it's all really interesting.
Totally.
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's why it's interesting about Australia, because they have a similar short history like we do.
Okay.
So seeing their music is also a combination of things, but with a more warm weather feel to it. Lucky,
totally.
Lucky people. Yeah.
One more question.
Okay.
What's your favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert?
Yeah.
It has to be one. Okay.
I mean, you can...
No, I think I'm going to choose one.
Okay.
This is a really hard question. I like so many desserts.
It's the hardest question of all, probably.
It has to be kind of chocolatey.
Okay.
And wiggle a bit. When you shake it.
Okay.
I was going to say tiramisu, but I can't drink coffee anymore, so
I
think that's out of the dessert.
Out of the top.
I know this is pretty lame, but a really good chocolate mousse.
That's not lame.
Like with like the beaded egg whites, like that maybe you paid $35 for it, but like that kind of chocolate mousse is like all melt on the floor.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah. A little bit of vanilla, maybe tiny bit of maybe cayenne pepper, maybe or mint.
Oh, getting fancy now.
I'm thinking about dessert.
Amazing.
I mean chocolate.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think a good chocolate mousse.
That sounds really good.
Though. Melts in your mouth.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And in your hands.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this. This has been so fun. It's always fun to hang out and play.
Totally.
Okay. Well, thanks, Adam.
Yes, thank
you.
Best. Yay. Nice.
We're doing that, really. Yeah. Okay, ready?
Okay.
So deep.
Yeah, so deep.
We're getting deep.
I can't dig out. Nice.
Cool.
First time ever playing that with fiddle.
Really?
Yeah.
Aww.
Amazing.
Oh, that's fun. I love it. It's so pretty. It really fits well too.
I like that. Yeah. Re-recording. How long have we known each other?
We were like 12?
I think so.
Or something.
12 years old. So how long? That's like 5 years. That's not too long.
Basically. Maybe 7, because we're legal now, right?
Yes, exactly. All right. Oh boy.
That's a long time.
It is.
We've known each other more than we haven't known each other.
Yes. Oh my god.
Woo.
That's an interesting one. Wow. Well, I won't talk too much about that anymore. Don't remind me. We're here to help you and talk to you.
And
about your feelings.
This is better than the normal music you hear on hold.
God, oh my God.